Okay. Hi. Welcome. Hello. I'm here. It's Erin. Hello. Yeah, we have a really big opportunity here, and that's why I wanted to hop on and talk to you all. So, we have this total solar eclipse happening, and we've been in this eclipse portal since last since the full moon, the other eclipse that just happened. And the word that comes in when I tune into this, as I sit here before this call, is the word transformation. And, there's different astrologers and people that I follow that are like, we're not going to be the same after this. That's what my friend Patricia says. I know she follows a lot of astrologers. I don't follow as many. I'm trying to find a good place to put this. I'm just going to set it up here. I don't follow as many astrologers. I just kind of tune in to how I'm feeling, what's coming up for me. And what I can say is that when first of all, it just feels like a lot has been coming up. That could just be the cycle of life that I'm in at the moment. But, I want to just share, if you're out there and you're feeling like kind of crazy, maybe overwhelmed, scattered, maybe there's some really big shifts or information you've been given that's kind of shocking, like shocking information. All of that can happen during this time. I've also heard that this solar eclipse that we're coming up to, total solar eclipse, we haven't seen since 1776, which is when the Declaration of Independence was being written. So monumental shifts. Like, you'll never see another one of these in your lifetime. Like, that's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. So in terms of internally, like what's going on for you, it can feel very chaotic. It can feel kind of like your foundation is shaking. I know people that have gotten intense news during this time, life-altering news, just major shifts. I work from home, so I haven't had to go out into the world a lot. I've been working on my book here, which has brought up a lot of foundational shaking for me personally. But I don't always go out into the world, especially when I'm in a deep creative process like I'm in. And I can just say that the one time that I went out yesterday, it just felt really intense. There's some really intense energy out there. So it's a time to go within if you can. It's hard to go within and be still when everything's kind of crazy. But it is a time to do that. It's a time when we do that, when we do take the time to go within, to meditate, to get still, a lot can happen. Like quick manifesting, quick shifts. It's also a new moon, so allowing in what we want is going to be huge. This whole year that we're in is the year of the dragon, the Chinese year of the dragon, is all about stepping into your alignment. And as my dear friend Patricia says, whatever doesn't fit through the eye of that needle, it has to get released. So it's like we're getting really more clear, more focused on what is truly in alignment for us personally. And what isn't in alignment is what can't fit through the eye of that needle. Okay, so using that as a metaphor, right? Like, we're going through an eye of the needle, and what isn't us, what isn't true, what isn't for our highest and best can't fit through that eye of the needle, must fall away. And that can look very different person to person. So, it's a time to deeply surrender to whatever life is bringing you. That's always how I try to look at things. What is life bringing me, and how am I showing up to life? a lot of times we show up ready to fight, right? Like, I don't want that. I don't want this to happen right now. I don't want XYZ to be going on in my life. This can't happen, or this needs to happen. And we get really attached to something working out the way we want it to. But a lot of times, at least right now, if that is coming from an old place, like maybe you've always done things a certain way, and it's not in alignment anymore, it might be time for that thing to fall away. Or surrendering to what is coming in. And that's so hard as a human, because we're like, but this is how I've always done it, or this is what I need to happen, or, you know, whatever is going on, right? So it's what is life bringing me, and how am I showing up to life? And finding that place of surrender as much as you can, because fighting it is not going to get you anywhere. Having to figure it out, I know whenever I use those words, well, I've got to figure this out. If I'm using those words, I know it's my ego. I know it's not what's in alignment for me. It's my ego mind, my brain being like, but I've got to figure this out. So give me a thumbs up, give me a high five if you're there, if you're like, but I've got to figure this thing out. And what if life is saying, and I keep doing this movement for whatever reason, when I think, what is life giving me, and how am I showing up to that thing, right? Is life giving me a shit sandwich, and I'm showing up like, no, and wailing and crying? That's okay too, we can feel the pain, but again, finding that place of surrender, because this time that we're in like a super concentrated energetic time right now. And then in the grand scheme of things, we're in that year of the dragon, which is all about alignment with your truth, with your highest and best. And that means things have to fall away. What's not in your highest and best has to fall away. And that's when we start clinging. So we're in this concentrated time right now, headed into this next eclipse, where what I'm hearing is everything's going to be different after this. I don't know exactly what that means, but everything's going to shift. So again, surrender is going to be key here. Surrender will be key. If things are going to change in some aspect of life, then we're going to have to just surrender to that. And to the extent that we fight what is to the extent that we're going to suffer. I know I'm not saying anything new to anyone, but even as a lifelong practitioner of this kind of work, I still have to be reminded, because we're human and we're like, but I want things my way. This has to go this way, right? So if this is landing for you, let me know. If you're here, say hi. If you watch later, say #replay. But lastly, I just want to share, so that's the time we're in. So I'm wishing you all the energy, the good vibes, the ability to surrender to what is, and to surrender to your highest alignment, even if it looks funky, right? Even if it's a little scary right now. And to help you with this, tomorrow morning, 9 to 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, I am doing it's like a release method. That's what I call it. It's this method that I kind of created over the 14 years of work I've been doing with clients. We do some nervous system work, some somatic work, some energy healing. We're going to be working with the new moon energy and the eclipse energy. So really utilizing this total solar eclipse that hasn't happened since the Declaration of Independence was getting signed. I mean, that in and of itself is kind of mind-blowing. If that tells you anything about this time we're in, I don't know what else does, right? Like, monumental things can be happening during this time. And so I want to help us all to come together tomorrow morning to utilize this energy for whatever you personally might need in your life right now. It's only $11.11. 11:11, because we're in a portal, and 11:11 is a portal. So I will leave a link to sign up below the video. If you'd like that, there's a recording if you can't make it live, but I highly recommend joining me live. And that's really all I have to say is like, let's utilize this energy that we have right now for our highest alignment so that we can go through the eye of the needle that is this entire year, prepped and ready for what our highest alignment is. It's a year to really find what is in alignment for you. And what I've been guided to say from my guides is that it's not just about like your highest alignment. It's about like the truth, like the universal truth. That's what we're also going into. Like, because some of us might be like, well, what's my highest alignment? You know, well, number one, you're going to find out by what doesn't fit in the eye of that needle, right? And what doesn't fit into the eye of the needle, what falls away is what is not for your highest alignment. So you don't have to know this stuff. You don't have to go, but I don't know what is, you know, you will know. It will be shown to you. You will figure it out by what falls away and what stays. There's a great quote that I used to say all the time when I was teaching a lot of yoga. If it comes, let it come. If it stays, let it stay. And if it goes, let it go. And I just think that is such a great quote for this time that we're in. That's how you'll know. You don't have to figure this stuff out, but it's also about the truth of the universe. So it's not just what is Erin's highest truth, right? That's one thing. And then there's universal truth. And this time that we're in is really about stepping into the truth of who you are, being in alignment with who you are. And a lot of us are still figuring those pieces out, and that's okay. Like, don't worry about that. That stuff will all be figured out. You will know. And, you know, the quickest way to I don't want to keep saying figure it out, because to me, when I say figuring it out, I know I'm in my head and not in my body. But you'll know what is more in alignment for you than something else by how you feel. Your feelings are always directing you towards your alignment or away from it. So if you're feeling a lot of resistance, a lot of fear, you know, scarcity or whatever, those kinds of feelings, frustration, that can be a sign like, oh, maybe what I thought was for me really isn't. Or maybe this thing that I was trying to do isn't really what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And resistance is a tricky one I've learned over the years. Last thing I'll say here, resistance is tricky because it's like I have resistance towards putting my book out there. As some of you know, I'm writing a book, been writing it for a long time. I have resistance to putting my book out there, but some of that is from like work that I've been doing or that I need to do, right? In feeling safe, putting myself out there, being seen. So sometimes resistance isn't necessarily saying, don't do that thing. Sometimes it's resistance to the pain of like a wounded part of you that you actually do need to walk through the fire. So that's for you to kind of walk that line and figure out what it is for you. But yeah, so just saying like resistance can be tricky because it doesn't always, and fear can be tricky too, right? Those two don't necessarily always mean it's not something you're supposed to be doing. It's not something that's not in alignment for you. It might be that it's a wounded part of you that is coming up to be healed, transformed, and transmuted. So all of that is what is available to us during this time. The eclipse is on Monday, so we are in it fully. If you're feeling some chaotic energy or you're feeling a little lost or overwhelmed right now, you're not alone. If you're feeling exhausted, I was feeling so exhausted yesterday, you're not alone. You're not crazy. And we're just in a really intense period. right now. And after this, things can be moving and shifting for the better in your life. If you're showing up to life from a place of surrendering, from a place of, you know what, I'm willing to let some things go in order to step into what's more aligned for me. I'm willing to shift some things in my life, shift some beliefs, shift some feelings, shift whatever, in order to step into what's more in alignment for me. So that's kind of just where I'm at. Like, some things are shifting and changing, and I don't know what that means for me in the future. And I feel that feeling of kind of wanting to grasp. And we know that is futile and isn't really going to work for us. So, you know, if you feel like you're in that grasping place, you can even just do this little somatic practice with me right now. Just imagine you're holding onto a rope, and like maybe you hold onto the rope like this or like this. I don't know. It could be a rope that's going like this. You're holding onto a rope so tight, and even like put your body in that position where your shoulders are squeezing up. You're holding onto that rope so tight. And then imagine that you just let the rope go and like fall back into your chair. Your arms are open, and just see how that feels. The tightening of the holding onto the rope versus the releasing and letting it go. Just check in with yourself. How does that feel? And do that practice. That's a somatic practice. Just a quick little somatic practice you can do if you feel yourself grasping onto things in life. Like, I wanted this to work out. This was supposed to go this way. Just practice letting that rope go and saying, I'm trusting in what's in the highest alignment for me. Repeat that little poem that I told you. If it comes, let it come. If it stays, let it stay. And if it goes, let it go. Put that on repeat right now. Trust me, you're going to need it. If it comes, say it with me. If it comes, let it come. If it stays, let it stay. And if it goes, let it go. That is the battle cry call for the time that we're in right now in this eclipse, okay? It's really about getting into a deep place of surrender and trusting that you're being guided, trusting that it's all working out for your highest and best. Just really getting into a place of trust and surrender. And again, join me tomorrow, 9 to 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to be doing a practice with you to help you move through this really intense energy that we're in right now. It's called the release method. It's accumulation of over 14 years of work I've been doing with clients. It's some movement, it's some meditation, it's some processing work, it's some energy work. We may do a little bit of Kundalini yoga. And this one is specifically for this eclipse. We're in that new moon energy, so we're going to be releasing and then having some time to call in our desires during this time, because it's really a powerful time to be doing that. All right, I hope to see you tomorrow morning. I'll leave the link to register below. It's only $11.11, $11.11. So I hope to see you there. And again, it's recorded if you have to miss. So, but join me live, because live is always best. Thanks so much for those of you that were here. I appreciate you watching, and I hope this message was helpful for you. And I hope to see you soon.